Hello, everybody. Welcome to Creating Cards with Debbie. I want to welcome you here today and be sure that you like and share the video either on Facebook if you're watching it there or also on YouTube. And also, if you're watching on YouTube, be sure that you hit the subscribe button and click that little bell to be notified when I go live. So I'm going to not be live today. I mean, I'm alive, but I'm not going live. This is a recording, a pre-recorded video, so I can post it for when I'm not here. So just in case I'm not able to do one of my lives on a day that I'm supposed to. So I want to welcome you here today and be sure that you comment on the video. I can see the comments later and I'll go back and answer any questions that you might have. So let me go ahead and switch our cameras around and we'll get started here. So like I said, I'm creating cards with Debbie, and you can shop for any products that I'm showing today or any things that you might be in need of at www.debbiefoster.stampinup.net. And you can email me at creatingwithdebbie179@gmail.com if you have any questions on anything. So let's go ahead and get started. I've got three cards that we're going to do today. And I'm using the Impressions Abloom Bundle that's in our catalog. I'm sure that, yeah, is this in the catalog? Yes, I believe it is. So it's Impressions Abloom and the dies that go along with it. And there's 25 dies in this package of dies. So it's got a pretty good package. All right, so let's bring our cards over here, and we're going to make this short and sweet today, maybe. I was having some technical problems getting set up, so got a little bit flustered, but we're going to deal with it. Let me get my instructions out here. And here's our first card that we're doing today. It's just a hello card. And on the inside, it says, "In case you need me, I'm here." So let's go ahead and get started with that. Get all of our bits and pieces out here. And I've done some of the prep work ahead of time to save a little time. So I'm going to start out with our card base, which is our fresh freesia. It's 5.5 inches by 8.5 inches. And then it's scored in the center at 4 1/4 inches. And we're going to burnish that fold line with our bone folder. And I want to set that card base aside for a moment because we're going to work on some other things with it. And I thought I was missing some papers here. Okay, and then I've got our basic white, which measures 4 1/8 inches by 5 3/8 inches. And that's going to be our little mat that goes onto our card front. And then I've got our designer series paper that comes from the designer series paper that is the Floral Impressions. And I'm using this pattern and the back side of this one. And that is number 165603. And you can find this in our online exclusives. All right, so we've got our designer series paper. We've got one that measures 2 1/8 by 5 1/4 inches, and the other one is the same. It's a 2 1/8 by 5 1/4 inches. And we're going to just lay those onto our white mat here. And I think I've got these too long. Or I've got the wrong cardstock here. Here we go. Let me give you the measurements on that white one again. It's 4 1/8 inches by 5 3/8 inches. So, and then these will lay side by side. So I'm going to start out with this fresh freesia pattern here. Using my faithful Tombow glue, we're going to attach that to the left side of our white mat. And I'm going to leave a small thin border on the top and bottom and the left side. And I'll put down the other one. And my bracelet's clanging on my glass mat here, so I'm trying to silence that. All right, and then this one's going to lay over the top of that other one just a tiny bit. You could cut a little bit shorter, but I'm just going to leave mine the way it is. Scooch that over just a bit. There we are. And then I've got a strip of our fresh freesia that's going to go down the seam of that to cover that seam. And that measures 1/2 inch by 5 1/4 inches. So that's going to sit down that center seam there. And I'm going to turn that. And I'm just going to butt it right up against the other one. I want more of the flower pattern to show. Oops, and get those pushed around and evened up here. So it'll look like this. Now we can add that to our card front. Make sure we've got the front side of our card, not the back side. And we're going to place that centered onto our card front. And got more room on the bottom here. All right, so there we have our card so far, but we're not done. We've got more things to do on this. So I'm going to bring over my die cuts that I've done already. And what did I do with that die? Just a moment here. I think I might have put something away here that I shouldn't have. Yeah. All right. We're going to be using this die. It comes out of our dies here. We've got one that leaves a like a framework onto your oval, but I'm going to be using just the inside oval I don't want that framework around it. So I've already die cut that out of our basic white. And that's right there. So as you can see, that cuts that out. And that's going to go on the center of our card. So we'll go ahead and attach that. Place that down centered. And we'll set that aside for a moment. Well, we could do our stamping. Let's stamp our sentiment on there. And our sentiment comes from another stamp set, which is the Beautiful Butterflies. We're using the Hello. And then I'm going to use this on the inside in case you need me, I'm here. So. And black Memento ink. And we're just going to stamp this down in this bottom corner. I'm going to put that at an angle. I had mine more straight, but I think I like it kind of angled. And I'm going to close that up for a little bit. And I always manage to get ink on my hands when I'm using my black memento. I don't know. I just cleaned it off, but I guess I still got ink on there. All right, now we're going to, we have already die cut our flowers and everything. So I'm going to place them out here, and then I'll show you the dies that I used. Oops, come back here, little feller. And I've already put adhesive sheets on some of these skinny parts. I don't have to struggle with my glue trying to keep it on that surface without running over. And okay, so here's the dies that I cut out of fresh freesia. Here's the flower die. And this is 2 dies, and I've taped them together. So I have it gives the grooves impressions. And the same with the smaller one, if I can get it out of my package. Okay, so there's the small one. And with the dies for the center of the flowers, those are die cut out of white. And that has the impressions little die. And then the cutouts, I just tape them together and run them through my embossing folder. I mean, my Stampin' Cut machine. And then we have the stem, and then we've got some leaves here. So let's go ahead and start assembling our card. All right, we're going to, like I said, I put adhesive sheets on the back of our tiny pieces, like the stem and the leaves. So I'm just going to take that backing off, and I'm going to attach our flower stem here, and kind of spread this one out a little bit so they're not too close together. You can reposition it. And then I'm going to take my large flower, put some glue on the back of that, and add that to this bottom portion. And I'll do the same with the little one. We'll go on the other stem. All right, and then I'm going to use my Fresh Freesia ink pad and a blending brush, and I'm going to add a little color to our centers here. And then we put these away so I don't lose them. Nothing worse than losing your dies. So I try to keep up with them if I can. So here's my Fresh Freesia ink pad. And I'm just going to add a little bit of color to the center of those white centers to the flowers. Just a little dab. And then we can add those to the center of our flowers. Right. And then we've got our leaves, which I've already put adhesive on the back of those. So I'm going to add those to our stem. And our other leaf will go on the other side. All right, I should have put the little one over here. Can I pull those back off? Maybe without wrecking too much. No, it's already attached there. I'm not going to mess with it. I was going to put the larger one at the top side, but I changed my mind. That's good. We'll leave it right where it is. They say if it ain't broke, don't fix it, kind of thing. All right, and then we've got some gems that we're going to add to this. And these are the basic gray and smoky slate pearls. And they're in our last chance section. They're marked down to $7.50. We're going to add 3 of those. Use my take your pick tool to get those off. And I'm going to go with the silver medium ones. And I'm going to put 2 there. And another one will go, let's put it right there. All right, and then to add a little bit of extra to that, we're going to add a double bow that I made from the baker's twine. And this comes out of the Baker's Twine Essentials pack. We've got the crumb cake, white, black, gray, granite, and berry vanilla colors in here. And we're using the white. I'm going to take a small mini glue dot. I'm going to place that onto our stem of our flower and add that bow. Whoops. Pick it up right there. And just add our little double bow there. So here's the front side of our card so far. Now we're going to do the inside. Oh, here's sirens going on. There's something going on. He's in a hurry. All right, and for our inside layer, I've got our basic white, 4 inches by 5 1/4 inches. And I thought I had another I thought I had my designer series paper already cut out, but I don't see it. So we're gonna have to grab that and cut out another one. And I'm using which pattern here? This one. No, that's different. This one works. And we're going to break over our paper trimmer. And I'm going to cut that at 2 inches. Well, is that 2 inches? No, we're 1 1/2 inches by 5 1/4. So 1 1/2. Oops. The paper moved on me. That's why I said oops. By 5 1/4. And I'm going to stamp first, so that in case I mess it up, I can turn my paper over. And I'm going to use the sentiment. In case you need me, I'm here. And this, like I said, comes from the Beautiful Butterflies. This one right here. And I'm going to use our black Memento ink again. And I'm going to stamp it up in the upper left-hand corner. Place up that ink pad. And now we can add our strip DSP to the side, the right side. And I'm going to butt it right up against the edge, that right side edge. So let's push that down there. So we line up with the edge of our inner layer. And add our adhesive. Put that on the inside of our card. All right. So, hello on the front side. In case you need me, I'm here on the inside. Okay, so that's our first card. Let me go on to our second card, but let me clean my area up a little bit here. Make a little bit of room. Get rid of my trash. All right, so our second card is going to be this one. It's a happy birthday card. My bits and pieces out here. Okay, happy birthday. And on the inside it says time to celebrate. This one we're using, our card base is the pecan pie. And let me get my bits out here, which is 5.5 inches by 8.5 inches. And then it's scored in the center at 4 1/4 inches. So let's burnish that fold line again with our bone folder. And the designer series paper I'm using for this one is going to be the Floral Delight 12 by 12. And this is number 164700. And we're going to be using this pattern right here. So we're going to be showing the front side and the back side of that paper. And I'll show you how I'm doing that in just a moment. So I've got, this is our first layer of designer series paper, and it measures 4 inches by 5 1/4 inches, just our standard size. And I have used that same die, where did I put it? Okay, I used that same die that was in here. It's the one that doesn't have the framework around it. It's just the plain oval. And I laid that down on the center of that, and I ran it through my cut and emboss machine and die cut that, and it comes out looking like this. But I'm going to flip this one over, so we'll have a different pattern with that. So I'm going to go ahead and attach those to my card front. So I'll lay down this larger area first. We'll put our glue on this bottom layer first. I guess it's the top layer. And we'll center that onto our card front. And scooch that up just a little bit. That's a good thing about the liquid glue. We've got time to move it around if we need to. All right, now I'm going to take that oval that I cut out, and I'm going to put glue on the back side of that. And put that into our empty space there. I forgot to do one thing here. I wonder if I can get my take your pick tool underneath there to lift up this bottom edge at all. And before it glues down too well, I want to leave a little gap in that bottom left-hand corner because I'm going to stick something underneath there. So I don't want that attaching just quite yet. So take your pick tool, lift that up a little bit, leave it like that for a while. All right, now we're going to we have taken this is the Daffodil Delight piece, and this measures 1 inch by 5 1/4 inches, and then I've run it through my embossing folder, and I used all right, which folder did I use? I used the Plaster 3D embossing folder. Now remember, this is 1 inch by 5 1/4 inches, and it's going to tuck up underneath here. So I think I've got that a little bit too long. Let me cut that down a little bit. Let's make it 5 inches, I think. All right, a little bit shorter. So 1 inch by 5 inches. And we're going to tuck that one down underneath there. And I may have to cut it off a little more. Sorry about that noise. Let's make that 4 3/4 inches maybe by 1 inch. And let me see if I can still tuck this under, because I want it to butt up against the top layer of my designer series paper, so that looks good right there. So we're just going to put a little glue on the top of that, the back side, and attach that to the top of our designer series paper. And you could glue the back of this, but you don't really need to because it's already going to stick at the bottom here. And I'm going to leave that open for a little bit. I may be tucking more things under it as we go along. All right, so we're going to move that aside for a moment. And I'm going to die cut some flowers out of the basic white. And I've already, I did the 2 dies together, and I've taped them together to hold them together so it does the embossing in the inside. I'm missing some things here. Where's my other flower? Oh, okay, it's there. I'm going to pop that flower out of there with my Take Your Pick tool. So here's what it would look like. You can see the embossed area in the center. That's what this center die does. So I'm going to run that through my Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine again, my mini. And we'll cut out one more flower. I haven't got the squeak fixed in my machine yet. It's got to be the handle squeaking. It sounds like it is. A little bit of WD-40 from my husband will probably fix that. I just got to give him a honeydew here. All right. So let's pop that out. Oops, I popped out the die too. There we go. I'm going to put that in my package so I don't lose that. So here we have our 2 flowers. And things out of the way here so I can find things. And I'm going to die cut the center out of Daffodil Delight cardstock. We'll push those aside. Bring our machine back over here. Top plate.